Hello everyone, welcome into Fatty's Feast, where we make the best food you'll ever eat without leaving your backyard. My name is Josh. Today I wanted to share my thoughts and feelings about the Freedom 94 smoker after 90 days of use. Let's get started. I personally cannot believe I've had this thing 90 days already. As you've seen, I've strictly cooked on this. I haven't touched my Brazos, and it's no secret. I keep saying this to you guys. I love this thing. It's without a doubt the best smoker I've ever used. It makes some of the best barbecue I've ever had, and I am so depressed that I'm gonna have to give this back come April. So the point of today's video is I just sort of wanted to come on and answer some pretty common questions I keep getting and that Patriot Pits keeps getting about this smoker. Now, first off, I want to remind you guys, I'm not making any money off borrowing this pit and cooking on it. I'm doing this because I wanted to do this and I believe in Patriot Pit's product. I am beyond grateful that they allowed me to borrow this and cook on it throughout the winter months. But I have gotten some comments on some videos saying I'm pushing this because I'm getting paid and I'm not pushing the Brazos anymore. I believe in both pits. I love both pits. Obviously, the Brazos, as I keep saying, is a lower end pit. It only costs $1,100. It's great for beginners. It's great for people that want to see if they love offset smoking. This pit is $3,700, but because it's $3,700, it's better. When it comes to barbecue, you really do get what you pay for. But both the Brazos and the Freedom 94 at their price points, I believe truly are the best smokers money can buy. And this pit itself, compared to the $5,000 backyard pits on the market, I just don't think you can go wrong. So I truly, with all my heart, believe in the Patriot Pits product. Plus, they're local to me. They're up in Massachusetts, right down the street. I love that because we don't have a barbecue culture here in New England. And once again, I wouldn't push a product that I don't believe in. I get inquiries all the time asking me to push certain products. And a lot of times I just look at them and say, I don't like that, or I'm not interested in that, because I don't do this because I want to make money. I'm doing this because I want to show you guys how to make the best food you'll ever eat without leaving your backyard. And this pit will allow you to do that. If it didn't, I wouldn't be pushing it. I would have sent it back to them already. But enough about that. Let's talk about my experience so far cooking on this pit. Now, I took delivery of this thing about mid-October, and currently it's just about the end of January. So if you're not from New England, let me clue you in a little bit about our weather. It's out of control. During the fall, we're in the 60s, and during the winter, we could be in the 50s or the 30s or the 10s. It really doesn't matter. So I've been fortunate enough throughout these 3 months to cook on this pit when it's been 65, when it's been 20 degrees, when it's been windy, when it's been snowy, rainy, sunny, cloudy, etc., etc. Today, for example, is about 35 degrees, and now it's windy. But I will say, because this smoker is completely 3/8 inch thick steel, which once again, they are one of the only companies to make a smoker with that thickness of steel, this thing has been an ease to cook on. I haven't noticed a real difference between cooking in warmer temperatures versus colder temperatures. Now, I haven't cooked in 90-degree weather yet, which that really shouldn't make a difference, but that's what I've noticed, is that nothing really makes a difference with this thing. The only thing I will say is a pain is the wind. The wind's always going to be a pain. But even with the wind, if I just close my Firebox door down a little bit, it doesn't matter. On my Brazos, it was more of a pain to cook in windier, colder temperatures because it's 1/4 inch thick steel, which is still the gold standard for offset smokers. So that really wasn't a big deal. It's just the way that the dampers are built and the airflow and all that stuff. When it's windy or it's cold, it just sort of becomes more of a pain in the butt. Now, that being said, it's also very easy to maintain temps on this thing. Right now, I have some delicious chuck roast burnt ends cooking, which I just saw a mouse like crawling around in my garage. Anyway, I have some delicious chuck roast burnt ends cooking, and I'm maintaining temps at 250. I just put a piece of wood on about 10 minutes ago, and I'm really not concerned about any kind of bumps or spikes or lows or anything like that, and we're burning a pretty clean fire. It's so easy to maintain temps. And not only that, but the evenness of the temps across the cooking grate. It's so easy to find that sweet spot, and once you found it, you're dialed in and you don't have to worry about it anymore. I literally started filming this video after I put some wood on, and it hasn't moved from 250. I've been filming for about 10 minutes now, even though we're only like probably 5 minutes in. And I can't stress enough that this pumps out some of the best barbecue I've ever made or even eaten in my life. I want to tell you a little bit of a story. A few weeks back, I made amazing pork belly, and it was supposed to be a video. Unfortunately, what happened with my new camera as I told you about in my Christmas greeting video. Some things got screwed up because I'm not a cameraman, and unfortunately the footage was not usable. And that really disappointed me because I can't describe to you how delicious this pork belly was. I've made pork belly before on my Brazos. It didn't come anywhere close to what I did on here. And once again, that's thanks to the even temperatures, the even cooking. It just makes delicious bark. It's indescribable. So I apologize for not being able to show you guys that, but it's a great example of what this smoker could pump out. I will do it again in the future before I get rid of this thing, I promise. But let me bring you down to the Firebox and we'll talk some more there. Oh God, I almost fell. That's okay. Let's open this bad boy up. So I got a nice roaring fire in here. This is what I'm using to maintain temps of 250 degrees. Now notice there's a lot of wood in here right now because I had a little bit of trouble getting a nice coal bed today. It happens, it was windy. So I just loaded this Firebox up. And what I noticed is you can do that on here and you can still maintain a clean fire and you're not gonna get temperature drops or spikes or anything like that. So that's really neat. So I'm just gonna leave this open so we can look at it and admire what's going on here. Now, when it comes to the size of wood needed, I have settled on something like this. I've mentioned this in other videos, but I wanted to mention it again. It's about 11 inches in length and I don't know, 2 to 3 inches in diameter. Now, I do keep my wood up here. I know in the first video I said be very careful of that. You do need to be careful of that, but this will dry out your wood very easily. I'll just flip it, but you can see there's a little bit of charring on here. So I just keep that in mind, and when I throw these splits on, it just lights right up in no time. Obviously with this, because we have a bigger fire in here right now, it's gonna light right up anyway, but even though I had trouble starting a coal bed, it looks really good right now. And I really can't stress enough that once you get a good coal bed in here, that insulated Firebox does the trick to keep your fire going. I literally throw a split or two on every, I would say 45 minutes or so. And I can walk away and not worry about temperature spikes or drops. Now, I do have my handy dandy ThermoWorks monitor thing, whatever you want to call it. So if I go in the house to warm up or something, I still have it next to me and I know what the temps are, but I don't have to worry about anything. The smoke's clean. It runs like a champ. So I've put 100% trust in this smoker, and it's much easier to use than something like my Brazos where you have to put smaller splits in and you have to really watch it because the fire could go out with a little gust of wind. Now I do want to mention, obviously, with a smoker of this size, you're going to use more wood. That's something I've needed to get used to. Thankfully, I have a ton of wood in my garage here, but you know, I'm using something a little bit bigger than this on the Brazos, and this will last, you know, 30 minutes or so, but I'll put like 2 or 3 of these on. With this smoker, I'm using something like this, and I'll put 2 or 3 of these on, and they'll last 30 to 45 minutes. So you're gonna need a little bit more wood, but that's what happens when you get a bigger, better quality smoker. Another thing I wanna mention is the length of time it takes to start this smoker up. Now, if you're using charcoal, obviously you're going to burn that down. That takes about 20 to 30 minutes or so. Once I put the charcoal in the smoker itself, I've noticed that building a log cabin with these bigger splits, it takes a little bit more time to burn down, meaning I need to bring the temperatures up and then they come back down once I have a really good coal bed, and then we can put the food on. I've noticed with this smoker, because this thing maintains temps so much better than the Brazos, it takes some more time to bring those temperatures back down. So you'll have a temperature spike, and then all of a sudden, or I shouldn't say all of a sudden, then you need to bring them back down, but it takes a little bit of time. So I have had the issue of where I thought I was in a good spot to put food on, and I didn't have a good enough coal bed formed, and then I'd put a piece on and then it would smolder and whatnot and have a dirty fire. So just keep in mind, it takes about, I would say, an hour and 15 to really get it to the perfect spot where you want to be. But once again, once you have it there, it's extremely easy to maintain a clean fire. And one con I have about this smoker that I've noticed recently is this door. Now, the handle is great. Okay, you have the dampers so you can lock it into place or whatever and be good to go and walk away. However, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just do this, and you see it stops there. But this handle pushes down a little bit. So sometimes I'll close it, and it might close all the way and smother the fire. So I've had to keep an eye on that. As you can see, well, yeah, it sort of already did very quickly. That's how tight this thing is. But I've done that, and I've walked away and then looked outside and been like, oh my God, my fire is dirty as hell. It's because the door was shut and I didn't notice it. So I've been keeping a better eye on that because I know it's an issue. So that's something that maybe we'll address when the time comes to see how this can be prevented. Now, there is a weld right here, and that should stop it, but for whatever reason, I think it's just gotten a little pushed down or so. So you just have that perfect amount where this door might not stay open, if you will, to allow airflow. It looks like the perfect time to put another split on. And that should light right up in no time. There we go. It's been 30 seconds. It's already going pretty well. Actually, like 20 seconds to be real. All right, let's shut this down and take a look at some other things. Now, some people have asked about these tires next to this hot firebox. Honestly, not an issue at all. These are very cool to the touch right now. A little bit warm, but not really. Not to a point where I'd be afraid of them exploding or anything. And another thing I want to look at here on the firebox is I have some rust forming. Now, this was just because water from my garage door somehow got on top of the smoker, which is usually right there. But in case you never had this issue, it's a very easy fix. We're just going to spray it down with some good old cooking oil. And because this thing is piping hot, we'll have no issue with it. It'll be like brand new. You see how it's already starting to burn off? That's what we're looking for. Now, if you're new to smoking, that's something you should do pretty much every time you fire up your smoker. Just hit it with a little bit of cooking oil so your firebox doesn't rust out. That's going to be the first thing to rust out, and you want to prevent it before it's too late and it's already too far gone. And of course, now we have a little bit of a dirty fire going because the wind picked up for a second and blew everything out. That happens. Wind sucks. Another question we've gotten a lot is, really, how strong is this shelf? Now, once again, the shelf only has one arm on it. So a lot of people have been like, well, does it actually hold enough weight? Now, realistically speaking, I don't know how much weight you're going to have to put on a shelf. It will hold your typical brisket or your utensils, or if you're taking something off and just placing it, it's gonna hold that. It's completely fine. But in the initial walkthrough video, silly me said, I bet I could sit on this thing, but I didn't want to because it's not my smoker. Well, thankfully now Dan has given me permission to sit on this shelf. So my fat 200-pound ass is going to sit on this shelf for you, and we're gonna see if it holds me. I'm gonna be honest, I'm scared, but we're gonna do it. And I don't know, I'm not gonna sit on it for too long because I'm seriously scared and I don't want to damage the smoker, even though he said it was fine. Well, let me do it for you. I got to take my Thermapen out of my pocket. Here we go. All right, I'll put it over here. Okay, moment of truth. I'm going to sit right in the middle. I don't want to sit on this end, but okay. My feet are off the ground. I don't know. You get. I can't lift them up. They're up. There we go. Sort of. You can see. But yeah, no. I'm sitting on it. We're good. It can hold me. That's one leg. One arm. That's how strong this freaking thing is. I was so nervous to do that, believe me. But there you go, it can hold at least 200 pounds. I don't recommend doing that if you're anybody. There's no reason for you to have 200 pounds on this thing, but just so you know, that's what it can do. Another question that a lot of people have asked is, well, if you're paying $3,700 for a smoker, why is there a hot spot right in the middle? Now, I don't think I did a good enough job explaining the hot spot in my temperature test video. Literally every smoker in the entire world has a hotspot. Where that hotspot ends up is ultimately depending on how you manage your fire and your temperatures. Now remember, the damper on your firebox door, that's going to allow you to control how much airflow comes into your smoker. And that ultimately is going to control your temperatures. But then up here on your stack is your stack damper. That's going to control the draw through the smoker. Now the more draw you have means the faster the hot gases are moving from the firebox out your smoker. So think of it this way. The more open your damper is at your stack means the farther the hot gases or the hot spot will be, because it's pulling the hot gases toward your food. And that would also cause for burning. If you have a brisket on here and you have hotter gases moving very fast through the smoker, that's where you get your charring and your burning. So on my Brazos, there really wasn't much to control with that because it's such a small smoker, and if I back that down, it would pretty much smother the fire. But on a smoker this size with that bigger firebox and the bigger cooking chamber, you can control these without smothering the fire or putting it out or just causing dirty smoke. Now, obviously the ultimate goal with the hotspot is you want it to be as close to the firebox as possible. So the first thing you can do to make that happen is pull your fire back toward your door. Now, obviously as time goes on, the fire sort of moves closer to the cooking chamber. So you just have to go in, pull it back a little bit with your shovel, and you'll be good to go. That also allows the fire to breathe a little bit better so you can prevent having a dirty fire. And then the second thing you can do is close this damper. Now, where you close it to depends on where your hotspot is, if you will. But right now I have it open about halfway. I'm gonna open it wide open. I'm gonna see if I can get that hot spot to return, and we're gonna quickly shove it back into place. So let me open it up all the way, 100% open, and we'll see what happens. Now we can see at the end of the smoker here, we're at about 225. And down here, we can see that hot spot forming, right? So we're at 244 because the air is moving quickly through the smoker out the stack. Now we can see with this, that difference is growing pretty quickly because I'm not controlling the airflow. Now, if I back this down to where I had it, so we're gonna go halfway, just about there, and then I bring you back down, it's going to take a second, but we're gonna see these temperatures drop. That should stay pretty much the same. But look at that, we're already 25 degrees. It's gonna take a second, but it will drop. If we look over here at this one, we're at the same temperature that we are on this side. We're still dropping, it's been 10 seconds. And because the fire was roaring for a second, because we allowed that airflow, it's gonna take a second, but it's going. We're already looking pretty even. 250 is where I want it for this food, so. In about a minute, we dropped all the way down from 275 to 259. Let me see if I can show you where that's at. I can't tell if you can see it or not, but that's where we're at. And then I just wanted to show you the fire. I wanna pull it back a little bit if I can. I'm not using my shovel because I have smaller pieces in here, but it did get a little bit ahead. So now we have it right next to the firebox door as opposed to right in the middle. So we're gonna close that down so the fire doesn't leak out, but that's gonna allow us for better temperatures in the long run. We can close that right to there. Now I wanna show you just by doing that, we're back to exactly the same. Look at that. Oh, look at those things. Even check this video out. Whew, God, these are gonna be good. So your damper control on these things is very important. You need to know how to do that. You need to do test burns. Every smoker has a hot spot. No matter how much you pay for it, you're going to have a hot spot. So there's nothing wrong with this smoker having a hot spot. It just depends on where you put it. That's how you're gonna manage to not burn your food. So learn how to do that. Like I said, do practice burns, you'll be all set. It's very, very easy to manage, and that's why this is such a great quality smoker. The last thing I wanted to touch on, and this really isn't an issue per se, but this smoker is very heavy. It's 3/8 inch thick steel. I've said that 3,000 times now, but because it's so thick, damn boy, 3 C's, it's a heavy smoker. Now that includes opening the door. You need 2 hands, you've seen me do that. That includes moving it. Now, even though it's on this cart, which makes it super convenient and easy, it's still heavy. It still takes some strength to move it. I still have to push it with all my might into my garage to get it over the hump right in the concrete there. Now, this is one of the heaviest backyard smokers on the market. And that's not only because of the thickness of the steel, but because of the extra stuff, the insulated firebox, the wood rack, the shelf, the amazing craftsmanship here with this handle. Everything adds up. And then even taking into account if you have a counterbalance on the door, which I highly recommend, you're adding more weight. This thing is 1,200 pounds, okay? That's just not light for anybody, no matter how you look at it. So if you have real difficulty with heavy stuff and just moving things around or opening things that are heavy, this is going to be a chore for you. In that case, you might want to look into something that's 1/4 inch thick steel. And for the average person, it's not bad, but if, like I said, if you have difficulty with this kind of stuff, this might not be the smoker for you. At the end of the day, 1/4 inch thick steel is the standard for offset smokers, so you're not going to lose much. I mean, personally, I love the 3/8 inch, especially here in New England where the temperatures are out of control, but 1/4 inch will do you just fine. For most people, it's not an issue, but I did want to mention that. But that being my serious only con, if you will, I can't stress enough how much I love this smoker. I wouldn't push this product if I didn't love it as much as I did. And even though this is not my smoker, I will be getting a Freedom 94 smoker when I have to give this one back. I haven't worked out the details yet of what add-ons I want, or if I want casters, or if I want this or that, or a trailer. I don't know yet. We're gonna figure that out. But that just goes to show you how much I truly love this product and how much I think you guys will too if you want to step up your barbecue game from something like a Big Green Egg or a Brazos or a Pecos or something along those lines. You really can't go wrong ordering these pits. If you have any questions about them, please let me know in the comments, or you can reach out to them on Instagram or their website. I'm gonna put links for both of those in the description. If you do reach out or you do order one of the smokers, remember to use the code FATTIES and you're gonna get a beautiful handcrafted charcoal chimney and a state-of-the-art, convenient, efficient firebox tool. But I hope if you were on the fence about ordering one of these smokers, I gave you a little bit more information than I did in my previous video. And I hope you can use some of this information today to figure out if the Freedom 94 from Patriot Pits is the correct smoker to step up your barbecue game. If you did find value in today's video, please smash that like button, get this content out to more people, and leave a comment with questions or just to say, hey, I love hearing from you guys. I'd also love to hear any additional recipes you might want to see me make on this smoker before I have to give it back. But don't worry, because I'm going to get my own, so we'll have plenty of time after that. Over here, I'm going to put a video of the walkthrough of this bad boy. You're going to want to check that out if you haven't yet, which I'm assuming you have, but just in case, you can check it out again. And then over here will be a video with these chuck roast burnt ends. You're going to want to check that out also. These are going to be delicious. Right in the middle, you can subscribe if you want to see more of my average face on a weekly basis. And until next time, everyone, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay hungry.